So, hello everybody. My name is Philippe Antoine, and I'm going to talk to you about fuzzing Suricata. First, a few words about myself. I love open source, network traffic analysis, and fuzzing. And I have been a part-time Suricata developer for 3 years, so you can see me in the drawing. This presentation may sound familiar to some of you because Circo OER did a presentation last year at both Suricon and FuzzCon about fuzzing Suricata. So this is kind of a follow-up to this work. So first, I would like to introduce you a bit how I see the threat model against Suricata. Then we will have an overview of the results of fuzzing on Suricata. And last, we will see the improvements brought to the fuzzing framework to get these results. So first, maybe small words about what is fuzzing. So the point is as long as we have CPU time available, we take one input and we process it, meanwhile checking for bugs. And we repeat it as long as we can. So I will do a short demonstration to show you what it feels like on Suricata. So here I start the fuzzing and we see lots of log lines. So I will stop a bit. We can look at this one. So that means that so far we've run 33,000 inputs. And out of these 33 inputs, there were 162 which were interesting because they show unique behaviors in the Suricata software. And so the fuzzing keeps going on, and so it has not found any new bug yet, but maybe it will end some time to find a bug. So this is about fuzzing, and so most of you may be familiar with it, but I guess most of you are not familiar with Suricata. So let's take a look at what is Suricata in terms of inputs and outputs. So Suricata is a network intrusion detection system written in both C and Rust, in transition from C to Rust, we can say, but as it is quite big, it will take quite some time. And so the attack surface is covered by 3 inputs. There is some configuration, which is kind of all over the place, which is mostly a YAML file. Then there is rules with a custom rules language, which does not have a grammar. And there is, last but not least, the network traffic, which is the likeliest input controlled by an attacker. So as a Suricata developer, we do not want any bug, whatever the configuration, whatever the rules, whatever the traffic. Maybe an end user of Suricata just does not want any bug for his configuration and his rules. Suricata is meant to handle network traffic by attackers because we want to detect intrusion. So that's why fuzzing is especially relevant, I guess. And we fuzz Suricata because we want to find and fix the bugs it has. And fuzzing is an efficient technique. It's not the only one. So there are other things we are doing. But we want to do this because in the end, we want that Suricata provides a positive cybersecurity value. And this is not obvious at first sight because if there is a bug which can be turned into a remote code execution, we will be in fact providing a negative cybersecurity value. So instead of helping to protect a network, we will be the entry point for the attacker. So that's the opposite of what we want. Then we can have, I would say, a zero value if we have a complete denial of service. So that happens, for instance, with null dereferences or also with Rust panics. And we can have a positive but reduced value with some other classes of bugs, such as memory leaks, quadratic complexity, so taking too much CPU time and dropping some part of the traffic. And finally, logic bugs, evasions that we can catch with failed assertions. So fuzzing is great because it helps to assess bugs with giving us the bug class. We can also see which versions of Suricata are affected, basically running a git bisect. What we do not know, and we need a manual analysis, is to see if the bug is triggerable in the default configuration or if there is something specific about it. And if one or both of network endpoints need to be controlled by the attacker for the bug to be triggered. So that was the introduction. I will be giving an overview of the results of fuzzing since the Suricata 6.0.0 release. A few words first about the methodology. So I use the public sources with the OSS fuzz bug tracker. You have the URL. And our Suricata bug tracker, which is Redmine. So this is not complete. For instance, we see only bugs that reach Git master. We don't have CI fuzz statistics. So, and CI fuzz caught some bug before they reached the Git master branch. And then I did a manual review, which is prone to errors or debates, I guess, to remove duplicates and false positives. False positives being bug in the targets, instead bug in Suricata itself. And so you can have the complete data of this manual analysis with this CSV file shown there. So the overall results are 49 unique bugs in about 1 year, so about one bug each week. 41 were reported only by OSS fuzz, and 8 bugs were also reported by other means, other reporters. Every bug found got fixed in the next version, except 4 bugs which got fixed before getting into any release. So this is good. The fuzzer caught the bug as soon as they reached Git master and before a release was out. There is one bug which was found early and which got only fixed lately, which is a failed assertion, which was not a big deal. one bug which was found early but left until the next major release, because the bug is not in Suricata itself but in PCRE1, and so the fix was to move to PCRE2. And one bug which was introduced and found in version 6.02 and which got only fixed in 6.04. So if we get a bit into the details, we can see that for each version we got about 10 bugs found by fuzzers. So we kind of have a steady flow of bugs provided by fuzzers. And more interesting, I think, is that most bugs, even if we found them only lately, they were here forever. They existed before version 6 was out. So about 2/3. So then there was 4 bugs which were found and fixed only in Gitmaster, and some bugs which were introduced in version 6.00, most of them being bugs in the HTTP2 traffic analysis, which was added with version 6. So I guess 6 of the 10 bugs in the orange part of are HTTP2 related. We can see also that most of the bugs who got found are triggered by a network input and not a signature input. That was not always the case. We had been fixing many bugs about signature parsing early, but this is interesting because this is probably more dangerous if the bug is triggerable by a network input. And for the impact, there are not so many bugs which could potentially lead to remote code execution. Most of them are partial denial of service, which in fact may be more dangerous than a total denial of service, because it is more stealthy, and so we may skip it. If I get a bit into the details of these categories, so we have free use after free buffer overflow, which makes the remote code execution. We have quite some null dereferences and also some Rust panics. So this was interesting to use both C and Rust code at the same time. And then for the partial denial of service, we have quite some memory leaks, timeouts, I guess all of them due to quadratic complexity, and evasions, failed assertions. So about timeout, Suricata uses libHTP for HTTP1 parsing, which is also fuzzed on OSS fuzz. And lately, there were only timeouts who got found. And this is funny because we see that the size of the inputs needed to trigger the timeout keeps growing. So maybe because we are 6 months after the last one, we will find a new quadratic complexity, or maybe we managed to get rid of all of the quadratic complexity in libHTP. After this overview of the bugs, I've been also studying the bugs who got missed by fuzzing. So I did not do that for all of the bugs since 6.0. I did that only for the 6.03 release. So there are 34 Redmine tickets with one duplicate and one irrelevant. So that leaves 32 unique bugs, with 10 which were found by OSS Fuzz, 9 unique by OSS Fuzz, and so 22 were missed by OSS Fuzz. So I studied why. So there was one bug which was not in the master branch, but only in the version 6 branch. That's why the fuzzer did not find it, because we only fuzzed the master branch. There were 2 bugs we did not find because the fuzzer do not use every configuration options. In this case, there was a new configuration option to have multi-threaded logging, where there were 2 bugs. There are 2 other bugs where we do not have the harnesses to get there. With one interesting one where we need a mix of inputs using the configuration files, where we define some variables that we can use in the rules. And then I go to the big blue part. So most of them are semantic. That means we do not have a ground truth easily available. Should we echo A or B? That's the fuzzer does not know it, and so that's not easily reachable. But we got 5 in the light blue, where I do not really know why the fuzzer missed them. One of them, I can see at least clearly that in the base corpus, we do not have one sample to reach this part of the code, which was about flash file decompression. But there were other ones, including one leading to remote code execution with one packet. And if you use certain rules, so maybe not for default configuration, but still interesting. And yeah, I don't know, maybe it was because the fuzzer was blocked by other bugs that we had not fixed yet, that we found this bug first ourselves. And so what were the improvements to get there? So first, the coverage. So the fuzzer cannot find bugs in code it does not cover. And Suricata is a mix of Rust and C. So there was quite some work to get the coverage. There are links to some of the pull requests. And when we finally got the coverage report, the first including Rust, I was astonished and disappointed by how low the coverage for Rust was, because we've been putting in Rust all the dangerous code. So that's also the code we fuzz. So I would expect it to be more covered than the C code, which is in SRC. And after getting the report, I just investigated and found that we did not use all the right flags. And so we used the white flags, and by the end of the month, we had jumped from 20 to 70% for line coverage, so which was more what I expected. And along the way, we had found also new bugs thanks to this expanded coverage. So yeah, here is a graphic with the Rust coverage in terms of line and percentage over most of the March month. And then by investigating further the coverage report, we found that the SMB coverage was pretty low. And we have one first target, which parses the AppLayer protocol, which parses any AppLayer protocol based on the first byte of the input. It will parse either HTTP, FTP, SMB, MQTT, etc. And we had already set it to be able to fuzz only one specific AppLayer protocol if we used one environment variable. And we found that with using this environment variable and having a basic dictionary with just SMB in it, in seconds, the coverage was over the one which OSS first got in days. So we split the first target to have not one, but as many as we have AppLayer protocols. And the results is that we found 8 more bugs in specific AppLayer protocols, and 0 with the generic one, even if it's just 1 byte flip away from finding the bug with the same input. So this was a pretty good win. And another such good win was to go to have structure-aware fuzzing. So this time it's about one first target, which takes both signatures and pickup file. So pickup file are the standard way to represent network traffic, but we want to fuzz Suricata and not lib pickup. And in fact, the pickup is a complex format with lots of different formats as well. So I created a libpickup-like fuzzing-friendly library, which has also the ability to produce a pickup with a single TCP stream with all the sequence and ACK numbers computed by fuzz pickup, so that fuzzer does not mess with it. So we will not be fuzzing the TCP reassembly engine anymore, but we will be fuzzing the more of the AppLayer stuff with this library. And this time, the old one still found one bug, but the new structure-aware target found 10 of them. So another good win. And this is a work in progress. One thing which is a work in progress is to have a performance report as well. So generate a flame graph. So there is a proof of concept where we run the flame graph on the corpus. So here it is. And just one quick remark is that we spend 17% of the time in a JSON anomaly logger, where there might be bugs, but I guess it's not worth of 17% of the CPU time. I would say it's worth less of 1% of the CPU time. But fuzzers find many anomalies, and we enabled all the loggers. So maybe we should have one quick target with not so many loggers and one complete target. I don't know. So reaching the end, the improvement summary, I guess it's about investigation of coverage and performance. A few things that were also helpful was to extend the configuration and putting more asserts in the code, and asking oneself why a bug was not found by fuzzers. Try to get it to be found by fuzzers to see bugs in the targets and such. And there is more improvements to be done. So I've just added one target with a default rule set, and we further need a pickup while doing this presentation. I thought it was a nice idea. And we have this difficulty about blockers, where we wait for the release to fix publicly all the bugs. So every 3 months we get rid of them, but until the release, the fuzzers do not have such good performance. And always more coverage and performance inspection. So I thank you, and we have still some time for question and answers.